Bleep blop bloop blip games here, and today, guys, we're doing a different type of video. We are doing another map making, but this one's different. This is a map making preview of a map I pretty much just finished. And I'm giving you guys an overview onto how the redstone works, how the game works, and the aesthetics. So I'm going to break this up into 3 parts. I'll give times in the description if you wanted to skip to any point in the video to quickly get a glimpse of how this works. So, without any further ado, we'll start with how the game works. Welcome to Corrupt. This is a 2-team versus infection mode game type. And infection mode is where a team starts out with limited numbers and then grows as the other team diminishes the number. So, without any further ado, let's go. So you have 2 teams, Slime and Spider, and I'm going to join the Slime team to show off mainly the mechanics. So I've joined the Slimes, and we will start the game. We're using the Start Game button, and that's the Join Team. So, welcome to the arena, and as you can see on the right, my timer for myself is counting down from 2 minutes. Now, the goal is the Spider team, which you just saw, is in this bunker trying to shoot at you to knock you off, because slimes have a resistance buff that's so high. I think it's a resistance 9, which blocks 180% of damage, because resistance scales 20% with each level. So, I'm pretty much invincible, but the spiders have a knockback bow. So they're trying to push you off of this tiny platform, and when you die, you join the spiders to help kill the slimes. So it's a snowball effect, and the goal of the slimes is to survive 2 minutes. Because I'm the last slime alive, and everyone's shooting at me and like, no, I'm falling, and I'm out of the arena, the spiders win, and I am dead. And then the map resets for the next round. So that's the basics. So now I will describe the thought process of the map. So I wanted a game where it turns the infection game type and uses it in Minecraft. So what I did is came up with Corrupt, obviously. So what happens, or what the background for it was, I'm like, wouldn't it be, one day I was just thinking, wouldn't it be weird if mobs change, if mobs killed other mobs, they would change into the killer's mob? Like, let's say a skeleton kills a creeper, it'll drop a music disc and then turn into a skeleton. I mean, that's sort of messed up, but what if they did that? And you had giant wars waging across the landscape. So this is what came into my head. So the point of Corrupt is the free loving slimes are just minding their own business when they get captured by the evil spiders. And the spiders are like, we need more men. Let's perform the ceremony. And the ceremony is to use the souls of the slimes to make more spiders. Which is how everything sort of came to be. So, let's begin now. We begin the aesthetics portion of the map. Welcome to the spawn point. You spawn right here, right in this single spot. And you will face this direction and face the giant sign, but anyways. So with Corrupt, as you can see with the map, I wanted to go for a more circular feel around a center point, which is why it's like this. You got a half circle with the center point, and it's sort of like the maps, because it's like a wooden base with the wooden flooring for the spider team, shooting a quartz structure. So, because this would be a multiplayer game, you have to wait for people, so I gave people time to run around, because, let's be honest, people in Minecraft just want to jump around. So what I wanted to go for was sort of like a mystic feel, which is why I use sea lanterns as lighting, because, I mean, look at that. That just looks mystical. And so I made like a field of like magic, sort of. Anyways, so I made a balcony because it gives a better view of the sign for anyone that wants to record the map or anything. They can get a good view of the sign and give it a nice view of spawn. So let's begin. I wanted to create like a diverse array of colors to really make this spawn eye-popping. So, and I used common building techniques like stone as like the foundation, which is why you see like andesite, stone brick, diorite as the walls, the floors, and the outlines. And I used wood as supports, decoration, and I used leaves as filler, and quartz as background along with wood. So, you're probably asking, how did you get this green? This green is birch fence on top of jungle leaves on top of spruce. So, when you break it all apart, it sort of looks like this, which is what you see there. So let me just plug that back up and delete these. So, but I needed a diverse color, so I couldn't use just spruce. So I included oak to really change the brown, layer the browns, and layer, which is why I chose multiple grays and blocks, is to differentiate the textures and make it look better. Because what any good builder knows is that a repeated texture looks awful. It looks monolithic. And if you don't know what that means, it means boring, monotonous, repeated, obviously. So what I did is I would take like stone brick. If I use this wall of stone brick, it would look so bland. So I made it andesite. And because it's andesite, it gives like a different texture from like the brick feel to like an actual stone, to look like it has strength and can hold up all this weight. Now, the reason I use stone slabs for the pathway is because it just looks smooth and nice and controlled. And then diorite to just differentiate from all the andesite and stone brick because it had stairs. Fencing to make everything safe for the children. And that's real. And I also gave these side rooms because it'll give people a place to run around in, and if they're like, who's this guy? And they'll go in there and see, oh, he's the creator. I may put how can I put this? Tributes to some of the some of the map testers. So, yeah. Anyway, so as we move into the building, it looks as though we're heading underground into a sort of dark and creepy area. So as you go in, I wanted to make sure people know which team they're joining immediately. So I made a giant slime face and a giant spider face. Now the spider face, unlike the slime, is very simple. It is a cyan stained clay, because that's what looks gray, combined with red glass with red wool behind it and coal blocks for the fangs. And this also gives a heads up like, hey, this is Spider Team, just in case you're blind. But if you're blind, you won't be playing Minecraft. So, unless you're dumb, yeah. And then you also have Slime. Slime was a little bit tougher to make look nice, because unlike Spider, Slime has like that see-through texture. But luckily, in one of the latest updates, we got slime blocks, which is why you're seeing this layered light effect. So what I did is I put glass in front of coal block eyes and mouth, a slime block background, and in front of wool. So let's break through here. As you can see, slime block, and then wool. And then you just plug it in, and that's how it's layered. So, like the wood, it looks like this, which is why you see that light differential. Okay, so, and because they were two distinct opposite sides of the room, I sort of needed them to merge into one. So, here's the spider, like, creeping in. Here's the slime creeping in into the final corrupt. Hey, it's me. 'Cause look at me. I'm just so beautiful. I had to put my head 3 times in this map because I look so good. Anyways, because this room was so dark, I needed a ton of light. So I hung some sea lanterns, and I also hid some in the lighting because the spider is really dark due to its coloring. So I hid it behind these leaves on the sides, on like the tops and the bottoms, because people don't really look like that. And I also added a skylight, and it sort of looked like, hey, this button is important. But I can add, anyways, back, one thing on mechanics, I can add more maps later, but this is right now only a 1-map game, so just be warned. So with that done, let's talk about the sign as we fly past it. So corrupt is like an evil, dark, decrepit sort of feeling of a word. So I made that black to represent evil. Now, because I tried using stone brick in the beginning behind the coal blocks, but that just made it way too dark. So I used the opposite color to give it extreme contrast. The snow, which is white, to the coals black, which really made it stand out. And then I lined it in stone brick to stand out from the sky. But corrupt sort of gives that feeling like something evil is encroaching and enwrapping you. So that's why that purple haze is there. You're like, oh, what's going on? Yeah. So that's pretty much the entire circuitry right there. That is all the circuitry on the entire map. But before we can enter the map, we have to disable a few clocks. So there we go. So we have the same premise, but this time it's the altar, because you want to convert them. So let's take a quick look. So the slimes represent a pure, carefree, playful part of the game. So I made it out of quartz to signify purity. And I started out with this circular platform because it's obviously circular, so hey, circle. But I realized if there's that many players, it's going to be way too small. So I added pontoons to create like a semicircle around the circle, lots of circles, to give people a route to run, and they can jump, because that's actually a jumping distance. Like here, I'll show you. Like, do a boom. It's not that bad of a jump. If you get shot in midair, though, you're gonna die. So, but the island, or the beginning island, because this is floating and I wanted it to seem magical, I made everything so it looked like it belonged. So, what do you think of when you think of floating island? Because I think of a giant base platform that sort of curves into a singular spike that floats above the ground, which is what sort of I did here. As you can see, it sort of curves down into the pit. Now, I realized after looking at it and playtesting how much knockback you get, that this hole is necessary, because if it was not for the hole, players wouldn't die. They would just hide right here. That way they couldn't be shot side to side, and it would be just boop. Just let me walk back. Boop. Oh, let me walk back. So, because of this hole, if they stand right there, they're going to die, because that's how much a single punch one shot does to a player. not even full powered. So slimes have to be very careful because of this single pit. But I want it to look like a clean fall, so the pillars going straight down and the stairs at the end to sort of cap it off made it look all the better. And then this tiny little connector platform, because I wanted to vary up the pontoons. So I made a tiny little sky island right here. And like I said, pontoons. But I realized the slimes are still at a disadvantage here, because they can easily just get shot and die. They can't run fast enough to outrun all the spider arrows. So I gave them barriers! And I tried white glass, but that just looked way horrible. So I added these barriers with fence posts to really make them stand out, so players, both teams, can easily differentiate between these. And I've also learned that shooting in someone's feet does not deal as much knockback as shooting someone in the upper body, such as the head or the chest. So if players hide behind those, if they get shot in the feet and they get knocked back and their knockback resets and another player shoots them in the head, then they get flying. But as you can see, there's always a way to at least shoot them. So you can always at least knock them out of cover. Because you can also, like these flat ones, you can flank from 90 degrees or 180. 180 isn't nearly as effective as 90, and etc. So now that I've described the slimes, let's move on to the spider base. Now the spiders, I wanted to go for a evil, like, hey, I'm coming to kill you sort of feel, and you're not leaving. So I made sort of like a jail sort of thing, and again, floating mad. But because I wanted to give them that evil vibe, I made like these weird markings on the walls, just sort of like, oh, what's gonna happen? Why are these things staring at me? And at the center points of each quarter circle, or half of the half circle, I put these nether brick pillars. And you know how the stair has the tinier part and then the bigger slab part? For each of the bigger slab parts, I made a brace to look like the walls are reinforced. And for the jail, because in any jail map you look to, there's going to be iron bars. So I put iron bars, and to differentiate the textures, I put chiseled stone brick. And because they were spiders, you couldn't have spiders without webbing, so there. And now the aesthetic here is to go with the spawn point. I added some leaves and then some webbing and the wood flooring. So let me go activate the clocks, and we will begin the redstone gaming portion. So let me just reset all the way over here. Boom! Okay, now that we're back into the team selection room, time to begin redstone. So the redstone on this map is actually pretty basic for some of the maps out there. So let's begin. So let's say I join Team Spiders. Boop. So I get a bow called Spider Shot, which is enchanted with Unbreaking 10, Punch 1, Infinity 1, and Webbing, an arrow. Now I get these by joining the team, and it also said, hey, I've joined the Spiders in Corrupt. So I'm going to teach you a few tricks here, and these will also be in the map making series which I'm doing. So if you want more in-depth details or guides later, go to that series. And if I join slimes here, it says I joined the slimes, but now my name is green because I joined the team slime. And obviously when I press the button, it counts down 3, 2, 1. The ceremony has begun, and the game begin. I don't think I've actually played it around, so let me actually just quickly join the slime team here and start the game. So as you can see, 3, 2, 1, and the ceremony has begun. Now I have a scoreboard on the right, and each player gets their own unique scoreboard right here, and it starts at 2 minutes and it counts down. So every player can get their own record, and can keep track of themselves. So, and it's like, oh, juke, 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 juke. Oh, I'm gonna be that one guy. Ah! But as soon as I fall out, it says the spiders have won, and boom, I die. And the map is reset. So I'm going to explain how this all works. And if I just redid that, my bad. But okay, so when you join the team, which is the first step, I made two scoreboard teams using /scoreboard teams add, and then I put the name, and same with spider. But then to join the team, it's scoreboard teams join slime, and the text the nearest player. And then it says the nearest player has joined slimes. And over here, because spiders had to get their own loadout, they joined Team Spider. They said they joined Spider. And then this is a give command. So I give the nearest player an arrow, a single arrow, with the name of webbing, and then this monster right here. So this is giving the nearest player a single bow, but their team is Spider, same with the arrow. And it has the name of Spider Shot, and it has 3 enchantments on it. Level 10 Unbreaking, Level 1 Punch, Level 1 Infinity. So when the teams are decided and everyone's happy with their choice, we begin the start. So it triggers down, and before I begin, there's one thing you must know. So Minecraft has 20 ticks in a second, and those are Minecraft ticks. But what you probably don't know is that Redstone is on a different tick system, where 2 Minecraft ticks equals 1 Redstone tick. So there's 10 Redstone ticks per second. So you have 4, 4, 2. 4 plus 4 plus 2 equals 10. And the first command block says, hey, say 3. And then after 1 second, it says 2. And then after another second, a couple seconds, it says 1. And then I had to put some command blocks in here, so I said 4, 4, 1, 1. The ceremony has begun, which is everyone spawns in. But at the same time, all these command blocks trigger, where the spawn point of everyone on Team Slime is set to that first respawn tube, because when you die, you join Team Spider. And it says, here I'll go to the spider spawn point, and it spawns spiders in the starting base, and then it TPs all slimes to the platform, and TPs all spiders to their starting area. Oh, whoops. But this map can't be complete yet. So I also set an objective, which is the timer, which you saw when I went through the game. I'll explain how to do that in the map making series, but just picture a timer on the right. So this sets it to the right. This sets the display to the sidebar, which is what you already saw. But to get it to 2 minutes, you have to set it to 2 minutes, which is why I add 120. So this sets everyone to 120 as the map begins, and boom. But you're probably wondering, what are all these extra command blocks? These are options. This one sets the slime to green by going to team options, color green. Sets the spiders to red, pretty much same command. This turns friendly fire for both teams off. Yeah, those are just things that if people change that in the map, they can do that. So now this is where. So let's say a slime dies and falls off into the void and dies. This is where they respawn. They respawn right here, and they fall onto a pressure plate, which is right here, which activates these 4 commands, as you see them. This first one sets their spawn point to the spider spawn point. They join Team Spider, and it says they've been corrupted, which is the whole point of the game. And then it teleports them to the second tube, which gives them the spider shot, and TPs to the third, and gives them the arrow, and TPs them to the spawn. And they begin shooting. And it happens really fast, too, because it's like doing, doing, doing. Okay, now this is the complicated redstone part. So, this is where most of the talking is probably going to happen. This is probably where the 35-minute part comes in. So I've broken this into pretty much a few main components. So this is the slime win, this is the spider win, and then this is just the timer right in this section. So this is the beginning clock. This is where everything starts. So this redstone torch is going into a comparator, which is with the front one on, and it's pulsing because this redstone will activate and then it'll negate it, and it just constantly goes around in a circle. I think every half second, if I'm not mistaken, but I may be wrong on that, so don't quote me. And then it leads into the slime win condition, and then it leads into this command block, which is a test for command. This is testing for a player on the slime platform within a certain radius. I believe it's a radius. Yeah, it's a radius of 24. So this is the center point of the slime platform, and this is the radius which they can be in. And if there is a player, if there's just a single player on that platform, this command block will trigger, and this activates into all sorts of things. So these are piston redstones. But first, I'll show you how I deleted. So this is the hopper clock. As you can see, a single item is popping in here 1, 1, 1, 1 every 1 second. But when there's a player on the platform, this piston activates and the redstone goes through the block and activates this command block, which removes all timers by 1. Oh, on every slime player, timer by 1. So spiders always stay at 0. And when there's a player inside the area, it gives anyone in that radius resistance for 2 minutes. But since it dies with them, yeah. So now we'll move on to the slime win condition. So this is constantly testing for a player on the slime platform with a timer of 0. So you survived the full 2 minutes because it's counting down from 120 to 0, which is why I'm setting the score to 0. And if there's a player on the platform when their score is equal to 0, this piston will activate. This command block will fire off, and this triggers into effect all of these commands. The first being teleport everyone super far away to fall into the void and die. This one says game over, the slimes have survived, which is the text. This tiny command clears everyone's inventory. This one removes the sidebar because you can actually remove the sidebar by just replacing it with no objective. This sets everyone's spawn point to the map spawn point. This gets everyone to leave the teams because teams leave. And then this final command sets everyone's timer to 0 secretly. So every time you begin, everyone starts at 0. When you add 120, boom. But that's if the slimes happen to manage to survive. But if there's a player on the platform, it goes into this inverter. So if this will turn on if there's a player on the platform, which turns this piston off, negating the spider win condition. But if no players are on the platform and on this 1 second clock, because if I did that clock, it would be way too fast. If there's a player with a minimum of 1, so if there's a player with a single point when no one's on the platform, the spiders win. Now think about that. If there's no player on the platform, during spawn, all their points are 0 because I set them to 0 at the end in one of these. So that changes their team. This pretty much goes through all the commands except this one says game over, the spiders have won. As you can see, I'm just checking. See, right here, everyone is set to 0. And if there's no players on the platform yet there's a score, the spiders win. Because they knocked off all the slimes before time ended. Which is why that works. So, but you're probably asking yourself, why does this all work? It's because of this single I base this entire circuit around this single command, because this triggers the slime win condition, the spider win condition, and the timer, all based on this single command. So I'm leaving this up a while for you guys so you can see how this is done. Test 4, which is looking for a player, the nearest player. So if there's a single player on the platform, and this is the center of the platform within a certain radius, it's like, hey, I'm here, and this will activate because it's like, oh yeah, you are here. And these pistons will allow the redstone circuit to fly through, or not, depending on how it's structured, and to ultimately win. And that was Corrupt. I hope you have enjoyed the video. But I haven't actually play tested this yet. So I need people to comment and be like, hey, I want to play. I want to help you solve all the problems in the map. And I'd be like, cool. So what you'll do is to join in the game. You will comment down below and be like, hey, I want to do it. And I'll be like, okay, go to this server, and if you're on when I'm on, and I'll give you guys times usually when I'll be on. And then you just message me and be like, okay, ready. And be like, and we'll like share Skypes just so I can talk to you during the game and get your feedback and everything. And yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much Corrupt. So if you're new to the channel and happen to enjoy the commentary or the map itself, please rate, comment, and subscribe for more content later. I do one Minecraft video Monday, one Hearthstone video Wednesday, and one random video Friday. Every week. If I can. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed this episode of, well, this video of Corrupt. And just remember, until next time, stay blipping.